Okay, let's be real for a second. We've all been there, right? You're in a super quiet, maybe super professional moment, and it gets shattered by, well. And even though we're all supposed to be mature adults, it's pretty much impossible not to crack up. So today, we're going to dig into exactly why that is. I know, it sounds like a silly question, doesn't it? But the answer actually gets super deep, touching on everything from our psychology to our social lives. So let's get into the science and the sociology behind our most basic and honestly, maybe our most effective kind of humor. I mean, this scene just nails it, doesn't it? We build up all these complicated social rules, all these layers of proper behavior, and then one tiny puff of air can bring the whole thing hilariously crashing down. So, what's actually going on in our brains in that exact moment? Yeah, it turns out our laughter isn't just random. It's a really specific, predictable thing that happens in our brains. So, let's start by taking a look at what's going on inside our heads. Okay, so a huge part of this is something called the forbidden fruit effect. And it's all about the idea of breaking a rule in a totally safe way. I mean, our whole lives we're told what's polite and what's not. And bodily functions are definitely on the not polite list. So when it happens, our brain gets this little thrill, a little jolt of, ha, I'm breaking a rule, but with absolutely zero danger. Somebody once described it as mental bubble wrap, and I think that's perfect. The tension of the social rule, that's the bubble wrap. And the fart joke, that's the finger that just can't resist popping it. It's just so satisfying you can't resist. Right, so this is the key, the whole tension release process. Think about your average day. You're being professional, you're composed, you're serious. You're basically building up social pressure all day long. A sudden, unexpected fart joke doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's the release valve for all that pent-up seriousness. The laughter is literally the steam escaping the pressure cooker. And that's really what it feels like, right? It's this moment of pure relief. A little reminder that under all the fancy clothes, the deadlines, and the polite chit-chat, we're all just people with bodies that do weird stuff sometimes. Okay, so that's the brain science, but it's way bigger than just what's happening in your own head. This kind of humor does something incredibly powerful in social groups. It reminds all of us that we're basically on the same level. All right, think about it. The CEO of your company, the most serious, intimidating person you can imagine.
Yep, they poop. Okay, how about this one?
Your favorite celebrity? The one you put on a pedestal who seems just flawless? Oh, yeah, 100%. It's this undeniable universal truth that just demystifies everybody. It strips away the titles, the money, the power, and just leaves a simple human being. And admitting that isn't just funny, it's kind of comforting. It breaks down all those fake hierarchies and connects us. I love this story. You can have a room full of geniuses discussing quantum physics, the very fabric of the universe, but a simple stomach gurgle can bring every single one of them right back down to earth. It is the ultimate equalizer, right there in action. So we've got the brain science, and we've got how it levels the social playing field. But what about one-on-one, in our personal relationships? Well, it turns out it's an amazing tool for building connections. See, the thing about this kind of humor is it's just so simple. It's accessible. You can tell a super clever, witty joke and maybe half the room gets it. But a fart joke, it lands every single time. You don't need any special cultural context to get it. And this is where it gets really powerful for building friendships. When you share a really embarrassing bathroom story with someone, you're doing more than just telling a joke. You're actually offering them a piece of your vulnerability. You're sending a signal that says, hey, I trust you enough to show you my least glamorous, most human side. I mean, take this story for example. It's perfect. Of course, it's hilarious, but it's also a huge act of trust. To share that moment of absolute horror and humiliation with someone, that's how you forge a bond. That's how real friendships are made, right there. All right, so we've covered the brain, we've covered the social stuff. Let's put it all together. Because it turns out there's a pretty predictable formula for why this type of humor works so well every single time. So here it is, the secret recipe. First, you start with something everybody goes through, something totally universal. Then you make sure it's something we're not really supposed to talk about. That's the taboo part. You add a dash of surprise, the timing, the location. And what's the result? A genuine rush of pleasure in the brain, a free little hit of dopamine. So, look, the next time you find yourself cracking up at a poop joke, don't feel guilty about it. You're just appreciating a perfectly crafted piece of comedy that hits all the right buttons. It's relatable, it breaks the rules, and honestly, it's a huge relief that it wasn't you this time.
In the end, maybe we shouldn't think about it too much. It's just a funny reminder that in a world that can be way too serious, sometimes the best thing to do is just laugh at ourselves. After all, your brain knows what's up. Or, maybe more accurately, what's coming out.